Okay, so we're going live right now and we're live. Hey everybody, welcome here the week of Christmas, doing our weekly Theta Healing Power Hour. Always same time, same place with me, Brenda B. Bailey, 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, always here on my personal timeline, although we get it shared out to a ton of places. So as I will always say, please make sure that you tag people if it starts to get juicy and you're like, oh, this would really be helpful for somebody, or whatever that looks like. Share it, tag it. We would appreciate it. So I'm going to get to introduce you to Miss Cheri Merz. So Cheri, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. What's going to be kind of cool is that we're going to be finding all about, I always say that you want to catch my power hours either live or replay. And again, you're going to get great information, whether you catch it live or on the replay. And you also get great work done on you, whether you attend live or the replay. So all you have to do is say yes. So we're going to start off getting some great information for an expert in the field. And then we're going to do some work on what she brings up or what she's kind of already given to me. So let me tell you a little bit about my featured guest today. Cheri Merz is a 20-year serial entrepreneur. She returned to her dream of a writing career after retirement. So today, with more than 30 self-published novels and 1 memoir behind her, Cheri's mission is to help other writers fulfill their dreams of a successful writing career. So Cheri teaches you how to get down to the business of writing and profitable self-publishing. Her clients have achieved multiple 5 figures to mid 6-figure annual incomes from their writing after working with her. So I think that this is actually really perfect for us to be touching on, because I do feel like people are being more reflective here at the end of the year and thinking about what they want to go into next year doing. So if that's writing a book, you're in the right place. So once again, share this, tag people. And as always, it's never exactly about the subject that we're talking about, because we get to talk about so much more. So let me get to our first question here. So Cheri, why should coaches and holistic healers write a book?
There are business reasons for any entrepreneur to write a book regarding their expertise, their case studies. Books enhance credibility and authority. But the one book that I really love to promote authors or coaches rather, and holistic healers, consultants of any kind, really, heart-based, mission-driven entrepreneurs, is something that a friend of mine coined the term mission memoir for. And a mission memoir combines not only what you do, but why you do it, how you got there. And so many of us have developed our businesses around missions that we have been pursuing for quite some time. So that's my main reason for writing nonfiction books. Of course, my first love is fiction, and the only reason to do that is to have fun.
But again, just the disclaimer here, she's not saying that it's not fun to do nonfiction, but I think that that's great, because so people, I think it gives a depth. And I also feel like it gives a depth to people can really understand a person.
Absolutely.
And I also feel too that when it's the right time for somebody to do this, it elevates your expertise.
Yes, absolutely. Everyone, all the gurus and all the teachers online talk about the know, like, and trust factor. And coaches in particular, uh, their business itself, the services they provide, you have to be trusted. Your potential clients have to trust you. And in order to trust you, they need to know and like you. And a book, especially a mission memoir, is just a perfect way to get that know factor, like factor, trust factor out to more people than you could potentially reach one-on-one. Among those people are going to be your ideal clients. So yes, not only enhance your expertise, but they enhance your vulnerability.
Well, your connectability, your connection.
There you go.
That's the word. That's the word we were thinking of.
That's the word. I tend to lose my words.
She's very good at expressing them in writing, though.
In writing, yes. I could do that. Besides, you can edit them. Can't do that on live stream.
That's right. That's exactly right. Exactly. Right, because there's no editing here. So tell us a little bit about how you help clients write their books.
My approach is a little different from most writing coaches and mentors.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So when people think of writing coaches, they often think of coaches to teach them how to write. And although I could do that, that's not my focus. My focus is on how to get your book written in an efficient way, because you're a busy entrepreneur, and how to do it in such a way that built into writing it is your marketing. So I teach the business of books. I teach, you know, how to research your topic before you start writing, how to gain a readership before you start writing, and how to ask them what they really want to know about you. So it's a pretty simple process. There's a lot of work involved. I won't gloss that over. But
There's a lot of work involved with any project that you do, folks, if you're not aware of that.
of course, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then once the first draft is written, I teach how to perfect and polish it so that it's a high quality book. And I strongly recommend self-publishing for a lot of reasons, among which are it can take 2 to 7 years to get a traditionally published book out there. And I don't think any of us have time for that.
Well, and it defeats the purpose of why you're writing a
Absolutely.
book to begin with,
Mhm.
especially if you're approaching it from the way that Cheri's talking about right now, and which is the only way. I mean, I'll just say that this is the thing: if you are not thinking about marketing your book before you start writing it, you're already on a misstep.
Mhm.
And I think that that's the biggest mistake that people make, is that they just want to write a book. And the question is why, right? It's like, why do you want to
That's where
write a
we
book?
start.
And I think that people have this, again, yes, it makes you an expert, it makes you known, but guess what? If you don't know how to market it, it doesn't do anything except sit in a bunch of boxes in your garage. I'm just going to tell you that, or sit on a shelf, whatever that looks like. But it is not, it's more strategic than that. It's not just the deal of like, I've always wanted to write a book.
Mhm.
No.
And, that's a perfectly valid reason for writing a book. But if your purpose in writing the book is to enhance your business, then there has to be a business-like way of going about it. And you absolutely must consider your launch and your ongoing marketing before anything else.
Because there's a time and a place for it,
Mhm.
right? And so again, you want to look at that. And there's nothing that I find, and there's a time to do it. There's a time in your career, there's a point, there's a way that you work it in. And it's not just one of these, it is organic, right? But it's
Mhm.
not in how you use it, because it's a great tool in marketing yourself. It's a great tool. Um, eh, Gosh, in so many ways. I'm just speaking off the cuff because I've known many people who've written books and have done really well with them,
Mhm.
but it's because they worked with somebody. I'm
It's
just gonna
well,
tell you that right now.
true. And my business is, the old saying, teach a man to fish rather than giving him the fish. And you can work with ghostwriters, and you can work with services that will hold your hand as you write the book, and they will assist you in publishing it and marketing it. And there is nothing wrong with those services. They're pretty pricey. So my approach is to teach you how to do all of that and give you options for what you should outsource, what you can outsource, what you can do yourself, and let you make the decision on how much money you spend and when you spend it and on what you spend it. So, like I say, it's a little different.
Well, and I hope, right, that by listening to this and tagging and sharing people, that you're understanding a little bit more thought that goes into it,
Hmm.
and understanding what your options are, because there are, it's like with anything. There are certain things that you have to do,
Hmm.
and there are certain things you have flexibility in what you do or how you do it.
Absolutely. Yes.
So it's nice because a lot of times my experience has been, and what I've seen out there is that a lot of people only want to tell you like the one way.
Yes. And it's really kind of funny because, as a point of natural personality, it's my way or the highway. But when it comes to my teaching, I'm all about do it your way. So I give my opinion, absolutely, but even my first course was a course on time management for authors, and basically it was a survey of all those gurus who have these specific things to do, and they even prescribe your morning routine, but that doesn't work for everybody. So I pulled together options that I had picked and chosen from to create my time management system, and said, here's how you do it. Here's how you create your time management system. That course, guess what? I didn't know how to market it. So I've learned a lot since I did that first course.
Don't we? Well, hopefully we do, right? Um, how long does it take to write a book, Cheri?
It takes as long as it takes. So I can't tell you how long it would take any given person to write a book. I don't know how busy they are. I don't know how much time they have to devote to writing. I don't know how much research they will have to do to put into their book, or how many words per hour they can write after they have fully prepared to write. Um, I can tell you how long it takes me to write a fiction book, but that is irrelevant for virtually everyone else. But I will tell you this: to prepare for the launch of a book takes approximately 6 months. And you can easily prepare for that launch and write your book in that time if you have 5 hours a week and are a competent typist. It's
Well,
all
and
about the
again, there's a
preparation.
lot, and we'll just say that if you're not a competent typist, there are great softwares now that transcribe so quickly. And a lot of them are free, again, depending on how many hours you're going to transcribe,
Mhm.
but they're very like $10 a month kind of thing. So
Absolutely.
when I found, I always tried to do it like on my Mac, and it was a little glitchy because it was an older Mac, the one I had before this one. And But when I came, and I was like, well, but when I came across the transcribing software that I use, I was like, you know, yeah, it was almost a heavens parting and angels singing moment, because I am not a fast typist, and my brain moves quicker than my fingers. So yeah, love that. So I think it's also too being willing to look at other options
Absolutely. And
to
I
be
think
able
of
to help you.
typing first because that's my preference. The first time I dictated a book, I used Dragon Naturally Speaking, and this has been several years ago.
Yes.
And you had to speak every single punctuation mark, of which I use many. And I just, even though it was faster than typing, I just found it very awkward. Now, I know an author, a fiction author, a best-selling, New York Times best-selling author, who can get down 5,000 words in an hour using Dragon Naturally Speaking. I think that's remarkable, and I applaud it. I'll stick to my 1,000 to 1,500 words an hour just so I don't have to feel awkward.
Well, that's what I love. Okay, so I love Otter.
Otter doesn't, you don't have to have that. You don't have to do
Right.
that with Otter. Otter
And
figures it out.
yes, I
Mhm.
was like, oh my gosh, Otter, you're so smart. And
Yeah.
honestly, it's $10 a month. I mean, I had the Dragonfly too, because believe me, I've looked at this. I know I've looked over it, and I didn't like Dragonfly. It just didn't work for me. So again, I kept using things, and I was like, when I finally found Otter, I was like, oh, it's so good. So, Cheri, what are some of the fears, challenges, or frustrations your clients say that they have around writing their books?
Well, and as you know, many of these are limiting beliefs.
Yes.
But when I did the market research for my course and this business, the first things that came up for people were, I don't know how to market and I don't have time to write. And obviously you can learn how to market and you can carve out time to write. That's what my first course was about. But then I started digging a little deeper, and I got into, what if I spend the time to write and nobody reads it? Who am I to write this book? I'm no expert. I don't write well. Just a lot of, frankly, excuses for not trying. The whole thing about drafting is that your words can be improved, but as somebody said, you cannot edit a blank page. You've got to get the words down somehow, and then you can get help. So if your mechanics aren't great, there are copy and line editors for that. If you don't know how to structure a book, there are courses and developmental editors for that. So, really, it's a matter of finding the courage to start.
That's a good one. Writing that down. I think it's that deal where with anything, right? I think human beings want to know um every step. Like they know the end result. And then they want to know every step. And really all you need to know is the next step. The first step, and then after you do the first step, what's the next step? But everybody wants to know the whole thing completely laid out.
See, I think that's a matter of cognitive processing or their personality. Some people are up for a blind adventure and some people aren't. But I would say, I've read statistics that 70% of people in the world have imposter syndrome, have some fear around not being good enough at whatever they're doing. I would venture a guess that it's more than 90% for writers. And I don't exactly know why, except that once you have written something and published it, it's out there and it's set
Right.
in stone. And, if you make a mistake, Now you
Yeah.
have to acknowledge it.
There's no going back, right? It's kind of
There's-
like that. Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
So, how do you help your clients overcome those fears?
Well, for one thing, I do have a step-by-step process. My course, Published Author Blueprint, has the step-by-step process. And you alluded to the beginning a few minutes ago. It's all about why. And your why not only gives you the motivation to begin your book, but it gives you the stamina to continue. But the other thing is, I emphasize over and over again that we all have had to overcome imposter syndrome at one time or another. But we all also have to overcome perfectionism, those of us who have it. And those things, you can logic them away, but truly, you have a better way to do it. And that's why I became certified, because I know that some people just, well, I did. I fought imposter syndrome for decades. I'm not a young chick, and I acquired it when I was 8 years old. So we're talking 6 decades plus. And it wasn't completely gone until I worked with you, Brenda.
Oh, I didn't know I was going to get a little plug here.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, ThetaHealing was the answer. So it's, it depends, I guess. I do my best. There are logical ways, if not to get over it, at least to get through it or around it, the feel the fear and do it anyway. I started publishing by going around it.
Absolutely. And so we'll just say this, right? Cheri has taken a Theta Healing class and she's had session and she's been a part of my group. But I would also say too, she knows the skill. So I would have to say, just in my own experience, and of course, it's what you know, I'm a huge proponent of, is I love to work with coaches who know Theta Healing because they're going to help me get through my blocks and resistance.
Mm-hmm.
So she just added another depth of how she can help you with whatever comes up during your process. And that's valuable, not to toot my own horn or to toot Cheri's horn, but it is valuable. Whether or not you've had that experience yet, I would invite you to have the experience. What can Theta Healing do and how can it support me? And
Mm-hmm.
how can it help me support other people? If that
Right.
if you are a coach, if you are an entrepreneur, if you are a healer or integrative healing um, practitioner, these are I always say, tell me what you do for a living and I can tell you how you can utilize Theta Healing in what you do. It
Right.
just enhances it, it makes it better. So
Mhm.
but thank you for the plug, Cheri. I'll give you your dime later. No, I'm just kidding. I will no, it's but it's true. Once you have the experience, you kind of go, okay.
Yeah.
And it's a nice thing. Whenever we get it, right? So whenever or whatever wherever we're at in our lives, whatever decade we're in, however that is, it's never too late, it's never too early, it's always helpful.
Yeah.
So I think that, in that questioning ourselves, not understanding our value, that's going to come up. So I always say, if you want to know what you need to work on, start a business. I think
Right.
Cheri would say, if you want to know what you need to work on, write a book.
It's there are so many parallels between starting a business and writing a book. You have to do the market research to see if what you're offering has value out in the world and what people are willing to pay for it, what they want to know. It, if you have started a business, you've already started the research for your book. There's just a little bit of of specialized research regarding particularly self-publishing, and that has to do with writing to market. And that phrase has received some backlash because many writers, especially fiction writers, they just want to write what makes them happy, and they resist writing books that that would be commercially viable. But in my opinion, it's just a matter of finding the other people that what you want to write will make happy. So that's the research, the kind of research I teach. I mean, there's, you want a great cover for your book. You want to know what categories it belongs in Amazon and how to get 10 of those categories instead of just 2. You want to know what kind of blurb is going to attract the people you want to attract and turn away the people you don't want to attract, quite frankly. But otherwise, it's very, very similar to starting a business. Maybe a little lower in investment than starting a business. Still,
Right.
there is some investment
There is
involved.
investment though, because right, I feel like, yeah. So in different ways, maybe in different degrees, depending on the person, but it's still going to bring your stuff up.
Mm-hmm.
It
Oh,
still is.
absolutely. Yeah. Especially imposter syndrome, especially becoming overwhelmed. That's another thing that people don't like to do, and they do it to themselves all the time. And having a system, which is what my mastermind is about, helps with that. So,
And I think that it's understanding because and I think it's just, again, I'll just say it's not everybody, right? But I feel like that people apply, like, again, they have some type of expertise. They're
mhm,
writing about what they know. And so I almost feel like that people feel like, oh, and that will go as far as like writing a book as well. It's like, okay, so are are you a book author, or, are you a book writing, whatever that is. It's like, if you don't have expertise in that, then just because you're an expert in whatever you do doesn't mean you're going to be an expert at that. And I feel like that's what ends up happening, especially once we reach a certain age, right, Cheri? We do so many things well. We do so many things automatically that when we shift and do something new, we forgot what it was like to first drive a car, to ride a bike, to
absolutely true.
write, to write the alphabet, right? Remember printing and then cursive? I know that some of our younger audience won't get that, but remember the printing and then the cursive? It's like these were all things that we took like the whole school year to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Yet we have this expectation now that we've learned some things that all of a sudden we're going to learn new things faster. Maybe a little bit, but the
Not
reality is
necessarily.
no. Right.
That's, what so many people beat themselves up. Let's take tech as an example. Um, so
Yes,
many
let's take
people,
technology. Yes.
so many people are frightened of technology, and they beat themselves up for not knowing how to do things with technology. And I try to, in fact, I don't even like that word. I bring them back to the very first thing they learned, which was how to turn over as a baby. They were not born with even the most basic knowledge of the functions of life. And they certainly weren't born with how to use a computer. So
Right.
why would they beat themselves up? That's knowledge
Absolutely.
that
I
can be
always say
learned.
that probably about 13 years ago, it literally felt like the whole year was about me working on myself around technology. Like it was about technology, that something would come up for me that I would
Mhm.
have to clear, that I would have to heal. And it just was really funny. I was like, I think this was the year of my computer type thing. And again, not just but software, in anything, any aspect of it. So I think that that's common. I mean, some people are whizzes at it. But that's not, again, that's not the majority. We
Right.
all have processes of learning. And in fact, I was just, we talk about technology. My sister, who I love, decided to give my mom these, the cordless earphones. And I
Okay.
went, she's 85. Why did you do this? You know? And my sister who loves music, right? So this is really, she wants my mom to be able to enjoy music, had set up years ago, like a little MP3 player with playlists of music that my mom would love. And my mom has been listening to that. I don't know how long ago she gave that to her, forever. And my mom just looked at me, right? Because she's 85. I don't want to learn anything new. I know how to use my MP3 and I love it. And I said, we will return this gift. I was just like, it's okay. She's 85. She doesn't have to, right? Like, but if it's an option for you, if it's something that you do want. Now, I know other 80 and 85-year-olds that are very proficient with
Mhm.
technology, but they want to be.
Exactly. All the time you were telling that story, I was thinking about the time when I taught I think she was at least 81 and maybe 83. My father had passed away. My mother had decided to volunteer at the library. And when I asked her, well, what did they have you doing? At first they had her covering the books with those clear covers that preserve the paper book cover. And one year she visited me and I taught her how to use email so that we could communicate. I didn't like to get on the phone with her because that was a 2-3 hour process, but but I taught her how to use email. So the next time I asked her, what do they have you doing at the library? She said, I teach old people how to use the computer.
Way to
so,
go, mama.
so let me disclose that I am well past 70 and I've been a techie since 1986. Age has nothing to do with it. Desire has plenty to do with it. And I'll tell you one more thing. Software does not break hardware. That's a fear that I don't know if people still fear that, but back when I was teaching my mother how to use her computer, she was terribly afraid that she was going to break it. And no.
You heard it here, folks. Right. Again, I feel like if anything, and I think it's such a perfect timing, that really what we're talking about is having some mercy on yourself, getting the direction that you need, getting the support that you need, being aware that you need it, not feeling like that your only option or it's too expensive to get help to write a book. Do you know that? And is it the right help? That again, yes, there's certain help when it comes to a book that is an investment. Is that what you're wanting? Are there options out there? What does it look like? Believe it or not, I think one of the things I've come to realize at my age is that I need accountability.
Mhm.
It just doesn't matter what it is. I need accountability. It doesn't, I don't need somebody like dogging me or anything, but I just need to know that I'm going to answer to somebody about something. It doesn't matter whether it be a
Yeah.
trainer, whether it be a nutritionist, whether it be, you know, a book coach, whether it be, a business coach. I just need some accountability.
That's so true. And I've always been self-motivated, and I've often been accountable to myself, so that up until this year, I would have said, I don't need an accountability partner or an accountability group. But I got one with a package earlier this year. And that accountability group, not only must I report to them whether I accomplished what I set out to accomplish over the last week, but they cheer me on. They give me ideas when I get stuck. Accountability, wow, that it's not just accountability.
Right, right. And that's the thing. There's more to accountability than, you know, yes, being responsible for your actions yourself,
Mhm.
but also there's something about knowing that you're going to be telling somebody that you did it.
Mhm.
It just is. Like I'm very self-motivated and a self-starter. I just realized though that if I have, even with a group, like what Cheri's talking about, if I have that, I'll do it.
We're always better together. I mean, we evolved that way. A lone caveman didn't last very long.
Exactly. And I think, you know, and it's so funny because I feel like that, you know, we're talking about giving yourself some mercy, doing some things differently. We're going into 2021, and I feel like what we're hearing a lot of people saying is that, you know, they can't wait for 2020 to be over. But as I say over and over again, there's only a 24-hour difference between December 31st and January 1st.
Mhm.
And if we're
Yeah.
not looking at things differently, if we're not looking at what didn't work, whether it be because of quarantine or just, I just think that people discovered a lot of things that didn't work. There was no place to hide. There was no place to stay busy. You just discovered what wasn't working. And it's
Mhm.
painful at times to realize these things. And it's just, it gets to be very, and so I feel like that as we go into 2021, it's not about 2020 finally being over. It's like, what did I learn?
Mhm.
What do I still need to learn to do differently? How can I make it work?
You can you can also learn a lot about your adaptability and even your character by how you feel about 2020. It's almost I don't want to slap anyone in the face, but there have been blessings that came out of this pandemic. Not the horrid
Mm,
illness and not the
right,
deaths, but the time to reflect and the time to become um, aware of what you did and didn't like in your life before, and the time to change it if you didn't like, for example, your job. You
right,
know? I know
right,
people who aren't ever going back into an office. They may keep their job,
right.
but lobby to work remotely. Um,
I think some people found that they really liked it. And I think a lot of women, I'll just be honest, would like it a whole lot better once kids go back to school. But everybody's been able to make it work.
mhm. Most people have been able to make it work. Um, you know, I don't have any experience of having kids while I'm trying to write. I didn't start writing for publication until well after my nest was empty. So I have empathy for those who have those challenges. But I know a lot of writers, or I've met them online, who would give anything to be able to quit their day jobs so they can be at home with their children when their children need them. And it's my fondest dream that I can help some of those people replace their income with their writing so that they can achieve that dream, preferably before the kids are out of the house.
Right, right, right. The whole reason that they wanted to do it to begin with.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it
So,
is very, you're an outlier if you get that done with one book. That's just not a, a likely happenstance. So it does take a while. And no one should go into writing, especially writing a fiction writing career, with the idea that they're going to write what we used to call laughingly the great American novel, and they will instantly be a millionaire. That's very, very, very unlikely to happen. Um, it's kind of like all those music icons who were discovered, who made it overnight 10 or 20 years after they started playing
right,
gigs in bars. You know,
exactly.
it doesn't take 10 or 20 years to develop a writing career that will pay you a decent income. But going back to the people that we first started talking about, the people that are most likely on this call, there are so many reasons to write what I call an authority book to enhance your business that we haven't even addressed yet. For example, if you want to speak on a stage, or even like this, having a book enhances that speech. Having a book gets you a stage. All else being equal, 2 or 3 speakers vying for the same opportunity, the one that has a book is the one that's going to get it. So
That's the reality, right? So let's
yeah.
go ahead and do a little theta healing work.
Let's do that.
Okay. So you get to be the cure for the yeses, Cheri, just so
Okay,
you
explain to
know.
me what you mean by that.
Well, when I tell you to say yes, you say yes.
Oh, I say yes. Okay. I don't have to tell everyone else to say yes. You're going to do that.
Yes.
All right.
You just get to sit there and be pretty and just say yes when I ask
Okay.
you to say yes. So whenever I work with a new client or student, I always make sure that they have 3 beliefs in place. And that's, I want an instant healing, I deserve an instant healing, and instant healing is possible. So because again, what we're doing with theta healing works very quickly, but if you do not, you know, that if you don't want it, if you're not aware of it, it's not going to make a difference. So that's why I want an instant healing, I deserve an instant healing, and instant healing is possible. So just say yes, and say yes in the comments below if you would like those.
Yes.
Good job. So we talked about, we want to change, like, what would prevent us from making a connection with others? What would prevent us from, honestly, I want to get the divine definitions of connection, coach, preparation, and courage. So when we do that, we're in alignment with whoever you believe to be your divine power, their definition. We know what it feels like, that it's possible, that it's safe, and how it serves us. So if you would like those, just say yes out loud.
Yes.
So let's change what would prevent us from being connected or in making a connection. Let's change what would prevent us from getting help from somebody who has experience. Let's also change what would prevent us from getting prepared, from being prepared. Let's change that, what would prevent us from having the time, blocking the time, making the time to write. Let's also change that we will not be able to market something that we create. And let's also change the obligation to be overwhelmed. So if you would like those, just say yes out loud.
Yes.
Let's change the obligation to be, and so obligation means we don't have a choice. And with some things, we really don't want to have that choice, but it's always nice to open it up, that it doesn't, that's not an automatic. So we want to change the obligation to be rejected. We want to change what prevents us from writing well. Let's change what obligates us to experience imposter syndrome. And let's change what prevents us from taking the first step. And then last but not least, let's change what prevents us from discovering and staying in touch with our why. And again, how we do anything is how we do everything. So this works great, not just in writing, but in so many different areas of our lives. So if you would like those, just say yes out loud.
Yes.
Cheri, is there anything else that you feel like that we need to add or emphasize as we come to the end here?
I think we've pretty well covered it, except to say that, if I may,
Of course.
that the business aspects of writing a book are clear and relatively simple and can be approached in linear fashion. So I have a 6-step process. And is it too early to say I have a gift?
No, go ahead. Yay. Yay. Let's do it now. Yes.
I have a gift. You know how when you get on someone's email list, they immediately start sending you 3 emails a day? And that overwhelms you and you get off their list. Well, mine isn't that way. But I have a little, it's just a 5-page PDF about the 6 clear and simple steps to get from an idea to having a published book. And I would like to offer that.
And where would they find that, Cheri? Because I would just wanted to be sure. Where would they find that? Is that where they go on the link that you gave me?
I am not sure what link I gave you.
Let me tell you what it was. You gave me the link of metaprosperity.org/media kit.
No. That was, no.
Okay.
That's all about me. This is HTTPS, all the punctuation, thewriteexpert.com, and that's write like you write a book, /book roadmap.
Okay. So we're talking the writeexpert.com /book roadmap.
Yes, and there's a hyphen between book and road and map. So book-road-map.
Okay, I will get that in the post, not a problem, so that you guys can get that.
Okay.
And
the last page of that offers a free half-hour discovery session with me to determine if you want to write a book, what type of book you might want to write, and how I might be able to help you.
And I think that guys, is, it doesn't hurt to ask. And I mean, and you've met Cheri here, so you can tell like it's not going to be a big deal to chat with her, or that she's going to try to strong arm you into doing something that you don't want to do, because one, that doesn't work, but two, that's not what's going to go on here. So we'll get that. Because I think, again, how can you say yes or no if you don't have a little information? Right. So then that just allows you to be able to do that.
I am so not a hard salesperson.
Well, and it's just, I mean, I'm not either, right? So it's just about giving, because knowledge is power. And I know that both Cheri and I approach that. If you have information, then you can make from that, from your position, whether or not this is something that you want to do or not, whether or not you're ready, whether or what kind of help, or this is the type of help that I need or not. I mean, it's all
Mhm.
right. So,
And it isn't this type of help that everyone needs. If someone needs help with craft, with the craft of writing, I have recommendations for that. That is not me. That's not what I do. So,
there you go. And that's good to know, right? And that's good to understand. And I'm sure that Cheri can make some recommendations as well. I'm the same way. If you
mhm.
talk to me and what you're wanting is not what I do, I certainly can make a recommendation. Is
Yeah,
that correct? Yep.
that's correct.
So there you go.
That-
So again, here's a thought as we go into a new year on something to consider.
yes,
Writing a book.
so many
What does that
people
look like?
have it in the back of their minds. If it's in the front of your mind, that's the time to do it.
And sometimes we just need to get some information to put it there.
True.
So, Cheri, thank you so much for being my guest today. I super appreciate it.
Thank you, Brenda, for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
Good. It's how it's supposed to be. And so, guys, we do this every week. Every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's the Theta Healing Power Hour with me, Brenda B. Bailey, and always a lovely featured guest. And our guest next week is actually Patty Farmer. And it's on the shifts needed to achieve massive results in your business. So
There
here
you
we've just
go.
given you a component of it, right? So everything always kind of piggybacks. It always works out for the best. So thank you again, everybody, for joining me. And also thank you, Cheri, again,
Thank
for
you, Brenda.
being my featured guest.